Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for listening to Chat with the Chief, the podcast. I'm your host, Chief Troche, coming to you from Sarasota Police Headquarters. Today, we are introducing a newer initiative here at the Sarasota Police Department, the Community Relations Unit. This is something we are all very excited about, and we hope by the end of this episode, you'll be excited too. Joining us today is Sergeant Comac and Officer Grochowski. Thank you guys both for being here.
Appreciate it, Chief.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we do a little warm-up. Pat, so tell us a little bit about your background. Like, where's your family from? Kind of like where you grew up.
I grew up in South Florida for a portion of my life, but I have very different parents. So my father's from Ireland and my mother's Jamaican. And I was actually born in Northern Ireland, and I am now a Florida resident, and I've been here for most of my life. I've lived in Fort Lauderdale and grew up in Miami a little bit, and went to school at UCF, and came over here for work in Sarasota, and this is my home now. So
how long did you live in Northern Ireland?
I lived in Ireland for probably about 5 years, and I did that in my preteens into my teens, and I moved back here to Florida when I was about 16 years old. So, yeah. My dad owned a pub. Go figure.
There it is. I was trying to get there. So you kind of grew up in an Irish pub.
I did, yes, with a Jamaican mother. So put that out there. Yeah, I love all food. So when you ask me that question, it's kind of a trick question.
I feel like we could do a TV show on your dad and your mom.
It'd be really funny, actually. A lot of accents. People wouldn't understand half the things we're saying. It'd be funny. It'd be good, except for me. Yeah.
All right, so what's your favorite music since you've been all over the world?
You know, I love all types of music, if I'm being honest with you, from hip-hop to old-school hip-hop. I listen to traditional Irish music, if you can believe it or not, and classical music. My mother always listened to Jamaican music in the house. Reggae is some of my favorites. So it just depends on the day, the time, what I'm doing, and the mood I'm in. And that's really it. I mean, I like it all. You know, and recently I have fallen more in love with country music. So there you go.
I'm with you on that. I love country. It tells a story.
It does, and that's why I like it.
I love it. And plus you have kids and, pretty wholesome.
Yes.
So, Officer Grochowski, do me a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I can call myself a true Floridian. I grew up here, played football here. I know I'm in the city limits, but played at Riverview High School, so don't hold that against me, but had a really good time. Got me to college. I went to a small school in Northeast Ohio called Hiram College, where I got my degree. It's my freshman year. It decided to snow on April 25th, so I realized I will not be staying in the great state of Ohio, and made the trek back to Florida. Kind of had some side jobs trying to find a career. I started working down at Knight's Trail and met actually Sergeant Stafford, and he kind of introduced me to SPD, and I put my application in, got to the academy, got hired. I've been loving it ever since, and it's just some people might know my last name. I've been downtown for the past 5 years, and now I've had this great opportunity to join a great new unit, the CRU, Community Relations Unit, and I'm loving it since day one and can't wait to keep doing the things we're doing in this community.
Yeah, Officer Grochowski is lovingly known as the second mayor of the city. Obviously, Mayor Kyle Batty is the mayor of the city, but the SPD mayor is Officer Grochowski because everyone downtown knows and loves you. So thanks for all the great work that you've done downtown.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Let's talk internal now. So let's talk about your backgrounds within the PD. So Pat, and just so everybody listening, I'm going to go Pat, Sergeant Comac. It's going to flip back and forth, but I'm talking to Pat Comac here. Let's go over a little bit of your experience within the PD.
Sure. So first of all, we can start off with the fact that the chief was my Phase 1 FTO at the agency many years ago.
Field training
officer, Phase 1, and part of Phase 4, I believe, for field training when I started at the agency. And then I was in patrol for a number of years, and I moved from patrol division to our criminal investigations division as a detective. I also served time on our SWAT team for just a little over 3 years, and then from our criminal investigations division, I went to internal affairs, and I worked in internal affairs as a detective for 2 years there. And then from internal affairs, I ended up studying for the promotional exam, passed the promotional exam, and then I went back to patrol as a night shift supervisor. I did that for a little over 2 years, I believe it was just about 2 years. And then from a patrol sergeant, I then took on the role of one of the two sergeants in our community action team. And I served time on the community action team for several months before I think the agency saw a need for a division in the unit, because really the role of the community action team was specifically to do what the CRU team is doing now and more. So basically what the community action team did was we would work on intelligent-led driven operations where we would be particularly looking for a wanted subject or something along those lines. And then probably a few days later, we were tasked to go to an event or attend something where we were reading to children or handing out books to children. And I think the department saw that there needed to be a divide in that, and basically leave each one of those tasks separate. And that has now created our community relations unit, and here I am. Now I'm the sergeant over the community relations unit, and I oversee 5 officers that are on the team, along with an additional officer that serves as our crime prevention officer. So it was a mouthful, I know. But.
Yeah, let's unpack some of that.
Sorry.
Let's unpack some of that.
That was a lot.
So I want to go back a little bit. So I was your training officer many, many years ago, and I can say that I saw a talent there. I knew it from day one when we met, and I saw you grow and grow and grow, and I knew you were going to be special here. And then I believe I had the opportunity to go to internal affairs as lieutenant, and I was telling you,
Yes.
I'm bringing you,
You did.
right? Because I believe in bringing talent to the table, especially special talent. So that's when we were able to get you in there, kind of mold you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know you had the opportunity in CID, and then you got promoted to sergeant. And when this opportunity came up for you to go in a CAT, I knew you were the one to go in there because, to your point, the community action team was originally developed to partake more in the community. But what happened was it evolved into another type of team where we had to go get bad guys. And so one day you're maybe executing a search warrant or, making entry, and then the next day you're at the basketball courts playing with the kids. And very hard to find people that can do both of a skill set. Usually you have people that are more into the community part or more into the tactical part. So we understood for about 2.5, 3 years, it was challenging because it was hard on the community action team. So one of the reasons, obviously, that you're in the role that you're in now is because obviously you're a strong leader. You're very pragmatic in your approach. And the reason I know that is because the benefit of coming up in this agency and being here 20 plus years is I get to know all the talent. So that's advantage for me. So thank you for taking that spot. So Grouch, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your time here at the PD.
Yep. So like a lot of us when we first start, we have to go to the night shift and do the 12 hours and put our time in. I actually got lucky to have you as my supervisor at the very beginning and learned a lot. Also, I don't say it's a lot, but when I'm going to talk about this position I had later, I learned a lot of my steps from Sergeant Comac and Sergeant Harris because I filled in a lot of times with them when we used to have the Newtown walking beat, which was a great thing, and it taught me a lot about being in part of the community. So that's kind of like the start of how I kind of came into these later roles. I got into what is now a downtown walking beat, and as the chief said earlier, this is where I really got my going in my career, and I really got to meet a lot of good people, a lot of important people, a lot of help change people's lives. I still get thanked from people for a case I don't even remember doing, right? Rumor came out that this great unit was going to be starting, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, I already had my letter waiting for that day, it came out. So I'm very thankful for this unit, and I think people are going to be very impressed with this. And
well, again, I had the advantage of being here 20 plus years and saw you from day one when we worked together when I was a sergeant. And I really challenged you on a daily basis because I knew that you had the gift, right? And so the gift is the ability to communicate, the ability to be empathetic, and just when people see you walk in the room, they just start talking to you because you make them feel so comfortable. So we knew that you can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. So we're here today to talk about the Community Relations Unit, CRU, also known as CRU. And so basically, we understood that there was a need when we saw a lot of the incredible things CAT was doing, but we also knew there was a need to separate the team and really focus more on what we're all trying to really put our efforts towards, and that's towards the youth and the kids, because we all know that in order to make an impact moving forward, and I say this all the time, this isn't McDonald's, you're not going to get it your way right away right now. This isn't a drive-through. This is something that's going to take years to do. We have to change certain attitudes and certain understandings and narratives, and the way to do it is to ingratiate ourselves with the kids. So tell us about your mission, Pat.
So that's really it, Chief. That's our mission. Our mission is to basically get a little more face time with the children, get them to feel more comfortable, and present ourselves as more approachable. Sometimes when we have encounters with kids, with families in general, it's potentially on a bad day for them. Something awful has happened. They've called us for an emergency reason, and this is the time where officers are really interacting or getting a chance to, and it's not on their best day. So this is a way for us to interact with them that doesn't come along with that emergency element. So this is why I think it's crucial for this team, and this is why the FaceTime I think is so important. It really humanizes us, and it really puts it back to an almost first name basis, of feeling comfortable, somebody you'd see in your neighborhood that you know you can go to, that maybe you don't have that fear or a bit of bias as, am I going to get in trouble if I say something about somebody else, etc. And it's just really breaking down, I think, some of those barriers with the kids. I think that is going to be extremely impactful. And like you said earlier, I think this is something that's going to have to build, and it's going to take time, but it's just really going to be the consistency and us showing up and us being there day in and day out to make them feel comfortable. And I think that's what it takes to have the trust built, working in the community, and I'm sure you can attest to this. Individuals know if you're there for the right reason or you're not. So us showing up and doing this and being at small events and big events is going to be huge. We've already had some positive feedback already in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, consistency for me, because I think we've come up short in the past where we do an event and we show up and then we don't do it 2 months later, 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, or 3 years later. And the community can see right through that. Obviously we have challenges. Personnel and hiring and law enforcement's been in a challenge for the last several years with that. But we're trying to make do with what we have, and we understand that by really building these relationships and being consistent and having the kids see us in a different light, not when we're called to 911, but we're actually there in a tank top and a pair of shorts and we're playing basketball with them and we're having communication, it's really making a big difference. And we can see it already in crime levels throughout the city. So tell me, Grouchy, how many members in CRU?
So there's 6 altogether, including our sergeant. And then if we include Officer Robbins, 7, just because he's crime prevention and he's kind of attached to us now, which we're really happy to have him because he knows so much about crime prevention and things to do in the community. He's been doing leading the National Night Out for the past 10 years, maybe, I think something like that. So it's been great. There's 6 of us, and I think Sergeant Comac, Lieutenant Adams, and Captain Armstrong did a great job picking a great unit. I think we all have a great attitude, and we really do want to do good in the community. So it's really good to have those.
And where are you guys stationed out of? Where do you work out of?
So we are stationed out of the North Substation, which is at MLK and Osprey. And so I know earlier I kind of brought back talking about the Newtown walking beat, which has not been around for a little bit, but now we are, at least once a week, twice a week out there. And, and then the people already notice, they go, "What are you guys doing out here?" And it's like, "We're here just to talk with you." And they're like, "What? Really? Like even in this heat?" So they know. So it looks really good. We're there. We're trying to get with the kids. We've got some events coming up to help with these kids. We've been hitting the schools every day. The teachers and principals seem very open and very happy to have us, even though they have these SROs in there. They're very happy to see this unit and understanding what we're trying to do in the community and for these kids.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the challenges with the SROs are that they're limited, right? They're limited to the campus, and whereas these kids live in our community. So people think by having SROs in there, it's really checking a box, and it kind of is a few boxes, but also it's important that we as the police officers in this city are engaging with those kids. Another thing I wanted to bring up is decentralization of police, right? So one of the challenges in past years, the theories have been, hey, centralized police, and so everything got centralized in a police department, and now it's, hey, we need to decentralize because we need to be more visible in the community. And I think having, and I've driven by there, the police cars there at Newtown Substation, having you all walk up and down Dr. Martin Luther King, I know you walk downtown, I mean, it really is making a difference right off the bat. So, Pat, tell me about some of the events that you've already done.
Well, just to touch on a few that we've already done here in the last, I believe, 5 to 6 weeks that we've been up and running. Now, we've partaken in quite a few bike rodeos, which when we had the community action team, we were partaking in a few of those, and now CRU, Community Relations Unit, has taken it over. We basically have partnered with Sarasota and Manatee's Bike Club, and they started an initiative that we are assisting in with bike safety. So road safety for the kids, some bike maintenance and awareness, and then just some instruction. We've also, over the summer, probably given away from a private donor close to 150 bikes, and we've taught probably close to 50 kids, I would say, how to actually ride a bicycle. It's been wonderful connecting with the kids, and just to see how excited they've been about it has been fantastic. So when I see that, I know that it's working, or it's helping, or it's crossing some bridges. We also took part more recently in the gun violence awareness walk that took place in the MLK corridor. The whole unit was out there. Chief, you were out there as well. I will have to say it was a hot morning, but everybody had great attitudes that took part in it, and I think it was nice for us to be there. We also did a open discussion about gun violence, which took place at RLT. I thought that was great, and we got a lot of big feedback, and it was open so that the kids could openly discuss and ask questions. So I thought that was huge, and I thought there was some pretty fantastic questions and some pretty thought-out questions that were thrown at us. There were 2 sergeants, myself and Sergeant Harris were there, and then 2 sergeants from the sheriff's office attended. Also, as a unit, as a whole, we've been attending certain things with an organization called Hope for Communities throughout the city, and it's a church organization where basically they schedule with families different services within a different church throughout the community each weekend. And we attended about 4 to 5 different weekends of that. And it was basically just all resources. They donated their time in haircuts, medical services, food donations, family counseling donations, learning centers, etc. And we were happy to be there. We were able to attend and give out some informational pamphlets as well, as far as like ID cards for kids, etc. We also attended at Books and Badges. As we know, school just recently started back up within the last month or so, and we were able to do a pack patrol car initiative here at the agency, which was, in my eyes, pretty successful. We were able to give away quite a few backpacks that we collected in total. I'd have to say probably close to 200-300 backpacks if I had to count them all exactly, and I think that went really well. And we also took part in a blood donor sort of standoff. I don't want to say standoff, I guess competition. With fire, boots and badges. But it was all for a good cause, and in all honesty, Suncoast, who took part in it, I know that they were hemorrhaging, no pun intended, for blood collection. And they were down quite a bit of units of blood, so they were more than thankful because of a more recent incident that happened with a motorcycle crash that they had to donate, obviously for a good cause, but they were very thankful for us to take part in it in the fire department. So that was a huge success that we were at. And we have a lot more coming up. This is just the beginning. Like I said, it's only been 4 or 5 weeks, and we have been nonstop. And in between the time that we're doing that, like you said before, we are out on foot. We are engaging with the community. We wanted to give school a chance to start a week or 2 without being, disruptive or there. We're kind of like a big billboard when we show up. So we've done that, and we've started tackling the schools this week. And we've got a lot of good feedback. And we just basically were letting the staff and the teachers and the SROs know, hey, we're not here to disrupt your work day. We're not here to disrupt the lesson plan. We're basically here to say, whatever you need from us, we're here. If you want us to sit in at lunchtime, say hello, partake in some sporting events after school, we'd love to do it. We've already got us signed up for a running club coming up at SSAS, and a woman's self-defense course that some of the ladies that are on the team are going to attend with some of the the girls in middle school at SSAS. So it's just ever evolving very quickly too.
And if you're listening out there, one of the things that Pat and I talk about is filling up that calendar, and then that way we have the consistency of doing it again next year. So if you're listening, you need to start reaching out to us, because if there's a special event involving youth within the city, we want to be a part of it. But this calendar is going to fill up fast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's doing that now, but we are trying to accommodate as best as we can, because everybody on the team is very excited about it, and they're loving taking part in it. So
yeah, you have a great team. And so finally, we have the hiring today, I believe, right? She started today, of the civilian coordinator. So people are going, big deal, civilian coordinator. So what the civilian coordinator is going to do is she's going to be working under the purview of Sergeant Comac, but also we'll be bringing back the volunteer program. We're going to be creating a new chaplain program, where instead of one chaplain, we have 8 or 10 chaplains representing many religions within the city to assist us. And then we're also bringing back, or starting, I know we probably had one 30 years ago, the Explorer program.
yes, Chief.
Grouch, what do you think? What do you think the impact having an Explorer program is going to be like in the city?
It's going to be great, by the way, to answer it. But so we've already kind of slowly been telling some of these schools that we have talked to, and a lot of these schools are very excited about this coming back, especially like ones that have like Sarasota Military Academy. We went to Booker, but we haven't got a chance to talk to some of the teachers. But I know they have the criminal justice, and I know they'll be very excited about that. And we started telling some of the other schools today, and even the teachers, some of the older, maybe in the elementary school, they have some really cool programs for these young men and women that are wanting to look for futures already. And so we brought up, hey, this might be a future, that we have this future Explorer. And they're like, oh, sounds great. We need to talk. So I think this is going to be a great way, and also for us another way to get closer with these kids in the community, to show them the good things that law enforcement does on a daily basis, and that doesn't sometimes get clouded. So I think it's a great thing. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think it's a good way, Chief, to bridge the gap. Whereas maybe being a young teen or a preteen that goes to somewhere like Sarasota Military Academy that has some questions about the law enforcement world, and how it works, the structure that we have in place, some of the ranking systems, some of that paramilitary things that they may already be familiar with at Sarasota Military Academy or other schools in general, and it'll provide them with that information. So that they can understand how we operate, how we do things here, some of our policies and regulations. And it is also going to be in support of their learning objective. I think the positive learning objective and applying that structure to the remainder of their life potentially, and leading them into the future, potentially as a future leader. So, I think that's where it's going to bridge some of that gap, and maybe some of those questions they may ask or wonder, but they don't know who to ask. I think that's going to be great for the Explorer program.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's so many levels that this Explorer program will help. It'll help kids that need that extra assistance in their home, right? That guidance. It's going to help the kids that want to give back to the community. Well, they'll be able to do that through this. It's going to help kids that want to be police officers have an opportunity to say, hey, is this really what I want to do? And really our ultimate goal for this, and I know you both know that, is 100% graduation from high school. That is our ultimate goal for these kids, and then to assist them to college or VOTEC or wherever they want to go, and if they want to come back here to be police officers, because what better police officer to have than someone from your community. And then the other thing that I love about this program is that when you bring in the volunteers and you bring in the explorers and the chaplains, you have a force multiplier. So we can do a lot of different events, involve them. The explorers are going to work special details with us come New Year's and Christmas details, and they'll be side by side with us. They're going to ride with officers. They're going to have very similar uniforms. They're going to write reports. They're going to process scenes. I mean, they're really going to be involved in our agency. So I'm really looking forward to that. So tell us about some events you got coming up. What do you got coming up?
So the big one coming up, National Night Out, October 3rd, correct? Yes. So please, if you're listening, bring out all your kids. We're going to have to be a great thing. I know last year it got, Hurricane Ian was our nemesis last year. Yeah, so, but hopefully the weather stays up.
It's going to be a great event.
Yeah, great event.
We have a lot planned for it, a lot in store.
Specialty units, all the cool toys that we get to use as for these food, DJ, right? So we have that, and then we have a nice thing down by the bay coming up. It's called the Boo it's the first 1 year anniversary of the opening of the bay. So don't be afraid to come say hi to us. We'll be down there.
That's going to be held on October 20th, and it is going to be specifically at 1055 Boulevard of the Arts. I can give you the times as well. It's 5 to 10 p.m. We have a few things. Well, this is going to be our busy time of the year. We're getting into the holidays. We're getting into that exciting time of the year. The weather gets cooler. This is where Florida shines. They call it the Sunshine State, but summer ain't it. No, summer ain't it. Fall is for Florida. This is where the sun. I can't even say that. I'm fumbled up on words. This is why you live in Florida.
This is what we always say.
Yeah, this is it, right? This is where the weather gets nice. It gets a little darker in the afternoon, but that's okay because it's cooler, and that's what we want to see at this time of the year for Florida. So we have a lot coming up, and it's a lot of outdoor events. We're doing a relaunch of our Northside substation. That's going to be coming up. That's going to be something similar to a national night out. Maybe not on such a large scale, but something probably just as great. And we're going to have an event coming up for that on a specific date. We have Shop with the Cop coming up. That's typically held in December. I have a specific December 9th date as well that we have. And then we're also hosting a chili cook-off that we do every year. That's a great time.
I love chili.
Yeah, so come on out. I hope that we now, because we've got the CRU unit, we can perfect the recipe a little bit better and, take a prize.
Fire's never going to let us.
You know what I mean? Well, that's fixed. I don't know.
I feel like it's fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed.
It's a fix.
It's fine. It's fine.
Beans or no beans?
Yeah, exactly. So, those are just some of the things we've got. That is. Well,
beans or no beans?
Beans or no beans. I'm a beans in my chili kind of person.
That's probably something you can put on our social media to get people to vote beans or no beans. Because there's big arguments.
She's
on
from Texas, so
no
they don't put beans. They don't put beans in it. That's why I knew she was going to do the. Yeah, that's why I said it because she's from Texas.
You're not pro beans?
That's why I said it. I love. Let me tell you. When it comes to food, I love it all. So yeah. I'm a beans, no beans. I'm a everything. Yeah, ribs, the whole nine. So that's just some of the things we have coming up. We actually have something specific coming up that's at RLT, and it's going to be the Collard Green Festival.
Okay.
That's October 21st, and that's going to be a big family event in the parking lot there at RLT. There's going to be quite a few vendors, and I am looking forward to seeing the turnout for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what vendors come to that. But we will be there. SPD will be there, so it'll be a good time.
That's a great event.
Yeah. So, that's just some of the things that we have in store coming up for the year. And, I know I'm missing a few because that's my priority right now as well, is just making sure I've got a handle on keeping everything organized and scheduled. And we do have a lot. So
you're really good at being organized and scheduled, I will say that. Yeah. Tell me, in this nascent stage of CRU, right?
Yeah.
So young. How many weeks?
We've only been about 5.5 weeks now.
5.5 weeks. So we're talking about a 5.5 week baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Has anybody from outside the state or in the state or outside has anybody reached out to you about
CRU? I have. I've had specifically an agency from Louisiana that's reached out to me because they got word somehow, some way. I'm not sure, probably from our fantastic PIO, public information officers, outlets on social media, and maybe they got a wind that way of how this all came to fruition. But I got reached out by Louisiana in particular. I got reached out to by an actual master's student from Boston University. They called me to get some insight on what this unit is, what they're doing, and their positive take on it. They loved it. I kind of had to say I had to go after we were on the phone for almost an hour or so because they were just so intrigued by the whole thing. I've also, from neighboring agencies, Bradenton PD, Venice PD,
we
name
love
the
Bradenton,
few.
we love Venice.
And also the sheriff's office was very curious about our unit because we went to a Crime Stoppers meeting which I don't think we typically go to. But one of the members of the CRU unit, Officer Stevens, Lauren Stevens to be specific, because we have two Stevens, she found out about this and suggested that we all go, and we all thought it was a great idea. So we kind of invited ourselves unofficially, which I think the Crime Stoppers members were super pumped that we were there. They were happy to see us. And then you had members from the sheriff's office that didn't know we were attending, but they were happy to see us too, and they were curious as to what the unit was and what our functions are and everything else. So yeah, we've had a lot of positive feedback, and I think I've been kind of blown away that people have been reaching out to me already about it.
And it's not uncommon amongst the agencies that we pick each other's brain, and when they have something good, we'll call, and vice versa. I just think it's amazing to me that just so early in the stage of the game right now that you are getting so much interest from other agencies, graduate students, and people within the community that they're just so excited about this new unit. So let me ask you this. So, and this is a tough question. So what do you think will be the marker to let us know that we're doing the right thing here? What are some keys? What are some quantitative and qualitative?
I thought about that originally when we were starting the unit, and I thought, just being in some other divisions that I've been in within the agency, like our criminal investigations division, and things of that nature, and I was thinking of the grand scheme of it all. And realistically, what we're doing is we're trying to make an impact with people in the community. We're trying to make them feel safer, feel closer to law enforcement, feel more comfortable with sharing, in the event that there's something that has gone wrong or they've become the victim of a crime, etc., that they feel safe telling us if something's happened, because ultimately that's what I think we're here to do and we're here to help for. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, that'd be my goal for the unit, is that people, kids, adults in general, they know that, we're okay if we go and let them know if something's happened. We feel safe telling them because we've seen the way these guys interact with us. We see the way they've treated our children. They see the way that they've responded to us when we talk to them out at an event, et cetera. Or, I think that's probably it. I don't know if I've done that explanation any justice, but I think that's what my ultimate goal is, and then just to be that constant over the years, that reminder that we are there, you know what I mean? Because like we talked about before, it's the consistency. It's
consistency, and it's building those bridges again and empowering people so that they know they can communicate with us. And one of the things that I'm not a big fan of is snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
And when we can get rid of that, and then we can get more support in the community, that for me is when I will know that this is really working at a high level. So we'll end it with this. So if you have a Harry Potter magical stick and you could fix anything, what would you do with your Harry Potter stick? Wingardium Leviosa, what are you doing?
So one thing I always want, and we're starting this with this unit, and I'm kind of happy you brought this up, is that bridge and that gap with communities and all that, that they are willing to come speak with us and not be afraid, like you said. And kind of you guys have already hit this, but I do think that's something I would love to fix, because I think a lot of problems, a lot of solutions could be made if that, if communities were willing to come speak with us and not be afraid and know that we're here to help them. I want to emphasize that that's something I want that bridge to, go away. I want us to all be one community to make Sarasota safe, make it prosper, everything. So
well said. Pat, Wingardium Leviosa, you've got it. Here it is.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, are we talking worldwide or what?
Just here locally. I mean, everybody wants world peace,
right?
and,
I know,
and
that's the
no
easy
hunger.
One. I would say if I had to fix anything, it would probably be bridging the gap of the general public's perception, maybe, of law enforcement. And I say that, and it's such a broad brush that I just painted there, but I think a little more insight on the fact that all the officers that do this job, everybody that I know that works here, does this with the best intentions to help people and to ultimately come every day, whether or not they know the job's difficult or not, or whether they care if they're liked or loved, and they show up and they do it with the consistency. We've got our investigators that do a hell of a job, and they put in countless hours. We got our guys in all the specialty units that show up here when they're tired and they're hungry or they haven't slept for days. If I think the general public could see that commitment with a wand wave, I think they would understand how much everybody really does care. Because I think sometimes there might be that perception that, oh, they don't care, they don't know me. You know what I mean? They don't know my lifestyle. They don't know who I am. They don't know where I'm from, etc. And I think there may be some of that I wish you could wave away with a wand if it was that simple.
Yeah. Well, and I think with programs like this, the Community Relations Unit, I think with this podcast, our goals are really for people to get to know you, that, again, you're not born in a certain part of the hospital only for future police officers. You had dreams and aspirations probably other than becoming a police officer, and this is what came to you at that time. Same thing for you, Grouch, and same thing for me. I mean, we're just all human, and we all put our pants on the same way, and we're here just to help humankind while we're on this planet.
That's it.
So, all right. So with that said, I want to say thank you all for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And I'm going to wrap it up. Matt, Pat, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be a part of this podcast. I like that, Matt, Pat. That was good. I just caught that. I really appreciate it, and I hope that those listening learned a little bit and about what y'all are doing and a little bit more about the department. And you all know the drill by now out there. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast, Chat with the Chief, wherever you like to get your podcasts. And please, live, love, work, and play in our city because we love it just as much as you do. Have a great day.